Thanksgiving horror movies. They're weird. Last year we watched a bunch of Christmas horror movies. This last week I watched a bunch of Thanksgiving horror movies to kind of get me festive. Honestly, it was painful. Even the good ones I didn't love, but it's just the best of the slim pickings that is Thanksgiving horror movies. Now we got a lot to talk about today, so I'm not gonna talk your ear off. Now I will, spoiler warning, but like, come on, man. It's Thanksgiving horror movies. They don't get that deep. And honestly, I think I'm doing you a favor by summing them up so you don't have to watch them. Anyway, Thanksgiving horror movies, let's go. Now, when I was tumbling down the rabbit hole that is Thanksgiving horror movies, for some reason, a lot of people really like this one. It's really bad. Let me go ahead and tell you, it's a really bad movie. Now, it is definitely a self-aware bad movie, I think.
There's no such thing as an evil turkey. There's
no such thing as an evil turkey. Oh wait, I lied.
But it's not even the worst on the list. It's about a killer turkey, and he talks. This turkey was around for the actual Thanksgiving, like the first one in the 1600s or something, I don't know history. The turkey came back to life. Now, this movie, you can tell, is gonna be a really dog shit movie because it starts with a super zoomed in close-up of some boobs. I think it just goes to show how cheesy this movie is actually gonna be.
Nice tits, bitch.
So if that's gonna tell you about the zingers in this one, this movie does have some genuinely funny moments. I mean, there's a lot of low-hanging fruit. Just 10 minutes in, this jock dude is talking about his backstory because somebody asks, you know, what are you thankful for? You know, normal Thanksgiving question. And he says his dad, because he taught him how to play football. And that's cute, and that's a nice, wholesome moment. And then it does a little flashback backstory, and he's just the same age. And these kids are supposed to be in high school, and they're like away for a Thanksgiving break. This dude looks 30. Maybe they're not high school, maybe it's college, but either way, it looks like 30. You could have just gotten a kid. But I guess their budget was probably like $45 for this whole movie, and that was all in like the fake blood, probably, because there's a lot of that. Yeah, I think it's really dumb that the parts that I laughed at weren't even really like thought out jokes. This guy said, calm the F down. And obviously they've been slanging fuck all around the whole movie. I mean, they showed full nudity multiple times in the movie. I think my sense of humor is just fucked. I mean, actually, it's just really bad. I kind of laugh at like really dumb shit. Cause like most of their actual jokes, right, were not very funny. Like there was some points where it was like a guy wanted to fuck the turkey, and then there was another time when the turkey fucked this random woman, human woman.
You just got stuffed.
Now, I'm not gonna sit here and say the movie's good. I mean, honestly, I'd probably give this movie like a 3 out of 10, maybe a 3.5 out of 10. It's not very good. It doesn't hit any marks, but hey, it made me laugh, I think, maybe once or twice. If you look at the other movie, this movie looks like gold, like pure gold, comparatively. Now, the next movie is a real movie. It's called Blood Rage. It's a 1987 movie, so it's an old guy. But this movie was actually good, interesting, maybe a little weird, and maybe a little hard to follow. Themes of Thanksgiving weren't very prominent in this movie because they kind of just had like one scene where they were at Thanksgiving dinner. The rest of it had nothing to do with Thanksgiving. The intro starts with like 2 little boy murderers. Well, I guess it's really just one little boy murderer, and the other one's in shock. And then they do a little swap-a-roo. One's at like a psychiatric ward because, you know, you can't really like trial this kid that axe murdered as an adult. Kind of like a Sweet Life and Zach and Cody if they were like axe murderer guys. It was kind of weird. I was watching the movie and me and my brother, we were like kind of like poking little plot holes throughout the entire movie because, you know, I mean, a little 8-year-old boy, he's probably a psychopath, right? And you would think the other one would kind of know it or also be a psychopath with him. Also, it's kind of funny because like I said, it was a little hard to follow, and the hardest part to follow was when halfway through, I think me and my brother, we were like, yo, which one is which? And I think we probably should have like followed the shirt because they were both wearing different shirts, and I realized that farther in the movie, so I think it got a little bit lost along the way. The ending was pretty wild. I remember thinking it was wild enough to add it to my notes that the ending was really crazy. Definitely a solid watchable movie. I want to watch this movie a second time, maybe next year. All right, next we got the worst movie on the list, and it's not going to surprise anybody, Poultrygeist. Now, when I was reading through that Reddit that I mentioned earlier, people talking about Thanksgiving horror movies and which ones are actually good and which ones aren't, some people were talking about the fact that they wanted to watch ThanksKilling but couldn't find it on streaming, so they didn't, so they watched Poultrygeist. They alluded that the movie was really bad. They said that they didn't think it could get worse than ThanksKilling, and they were wrong. Yeah, they were wrong. This is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. It was like corny and campy, of course, to be really bad. It was not so bad it's good. At least ThanksKilling was funny. This movie just threw in a bunch of racist jokes and misogynistic jokes, and it was really bad. They didn't even try to be funny. You know, had a different character of every different race, and every time they were on screen, they made a racist joke according to what race they were. It was really bad. Part where they talked about Jared from Subway, his scene wasn't actually funny. He was just like having crazy poop on a toilet. That was it. Like, it was just a very, very long poop joke. And like, poop and fart, yeah, haha, funny sometimes, I guess, but like, just loud poop sound effects for like 5 minutes. It was not very funny. He did kind of do the substance though, and if that sentence didn't make sense, then fair enough. What a stupid way to say what I just said. But if you know, you know. To me, the funniest part was that every single character's name was a fast food restaurant chain. There was a girl named Wendy, there was a guy named Carl Jr., and I didn't realize this until like halfway through the movie, and then I just like looked back at every single character and I was like, oh, no, that was actually what it was. The main character's name is Arby, and I didn't pick up on the whole fast food chain name thing until almost through the entire movie. I mean, I should have realized that Carl Jr., right? Like, realistically, I should have realized then. There's a dude named Denny, and he wanted to open up his own fast food franchise and call it Denny's. And then they had like a loud silence, and that part was actually pretty funny. Because he was like, I want to make a restaurant and call it Denny's. It was pretty funny. Now, the premise of this movie was that a bunch of chicken guys come back to life and chicken zombies take over the town. And it's because this chicken fast food shop is built on an Indian burial ground, which is super low-hanging horror, low-effort thing. But I guess this was like a 1990s something movie because it's a cliche. Then it maybe wasn't so cliche. What I'm getting at is this movie had really bad effects and everything until it actually went crazy, right? Because there was a part like maybe an hour and 15 minutes in or so that all of the chicken zombies started coming to life and just like eating people and killing people, and that was actually kind of insane. It was actually pretty good. There was like a 10-minute montage, and it got a little old after a little while, but it was kind of good. For like 5 minutes. Oh, also, I forgot to mention that this movie is a musical. There's like multiple songs. They're really bad. I mean, as you would probably guess, they are really bad. So yeah, I don't know, 1, maybe a 2 out of 10 movie. Really bad movie. Oh, and if you're wondering why this is the Thanksgiving horror movie, me fucking too. This movie is real as well. It's a slasher, a new one. It came out last year, maybe the year before, 2023, I think, so last year. Yeah, this movie was okay. It had the best Thanksgiving themes, which is cool because the whole thing, a serial killer that was killing people and putting them on a Thanksgiving table. This movie was probably a horror comedy, but didn't really take like that big of a role of comedy. Rolled off the tongue pretty effectively, right? Like the jokes were in there, it was funny, but it never felt like too cheesy because a lot of the time in horror comedies, I don't like that. But in this one, it felt pretty natural. The beginning was pretty stereotypical Black Friday, people trample over each other. Black Friday does not act that way at all anymore, by the way. It's not even a real thing, really. I mean, everybody does stuff online, but it is funny still to see it like portrayed that way in media. It's pretty funny. I mean, a bunch of people died in really stupid ways. Like a lot of people got trampled. Some people like bashed other people with a waffle iron because they wanted the sale. Like it was really stupid, right? Or the first death in it was this guy, he walks up and slits his throat on the glass, and that was really stupid. But yeah, this movie did actually try to be a real movie, and it's cool. This movie has a little bit of interesting lore because in Grindhouse, the old Quentin Tarantino movie, there's like a little trailer for this movie, a slasher called Thanksgiving, and this is what that movie is actually now. Like they turned it into a full-length feature film now. There are a few things that I don't love about this movie. Of course, you know, I don't think the movie's incredible by any means. Yeah, there's good things, but there's also bad things. I think as far as being a whodunit, like a masked slasher thing, I mean, it feels very Scream-esque, obviously. It takes a lot of inspiration from Scream, I would think, because there's also like an impending party the whole time, which is kind of like a Scream classic, right? The movie itself does the whodunit thing, right? The whole time we're trying to figure out who the killer is, and they throw a couple scapegoats in there. There's like two guys that they really like to make seem like the killer at different points in time during the movie. Yeah, the actual killer, who it is, I mean, spoiler alert for this movie if you care, the killer is the cop, like the sheriff guy. And I'm telling you, the first time I watched this movie twice. I watched it in theaters last year. I watched it then like last week. Yeah, the first time I was not at all gonna guess that it was the sheriff, because I felt like they didn't leave any breadcrumbs the entire way through. Like it just did not feel like he was the killer at all. But then the second time when I watched it, I still felt that way. The killer they didn't really make it obvious. And now I know you're not supposed to make it obvious, but you're definitely in a whodunit thing. You're supposed to make sure that the players can guess, right? I mean, that's really the fun of watching this movie, is like guessing who's the killer. It did not feel like a game that you could guess. Now, prove me wrong in the comments, right? If you're sitting here watching this and you're like, I knew it was him, he made X thing obvious and Y thing obvious, but he didn't really make anything obvious until very, very close to the end. As soon as they showed the one small mistake that he made, they spelled it out. So I just, you know, kind of lame. I just felt like it was like one of the Scream movies, I forget which one, that I always clown on in these videos, where it's like the mom, and it's like, that was not even a character. Like, how are you, how are you saying this? The whodunit aspect was bad. Slasher, the movie was good. Like, there's that one, the trampoline scene, that's pretty memorable because it's like a pretty unique killing. Yeah, I mean, the movie's okay. Just okay, though. Thanksgiving horror movies, they're weird. I don't know. What are your favorite Thanksgiving horror movies? In the comments down below, say it. Did you like these movies? Did you hate these movies? Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe. And happy Thanksgiving. Hey, happy Thanksgiving, right?